Hi, I'm Ben,
And I'm Josh.
and this is the Bad at Magic podcast, and this is another special episode given only to our Patreon subscribers. So, Josh, if you
Ben.
remember back in episode 56, I was like 3 months ago, we made a list of some of our favorite things. We were kind of talking about companies that we like, but it just turned into things that we like, and we suggested offhand that we would have an episode and talk about things that we hate.
Now, we have to have a discussion about things we hate. If the YouTube and internet algorithms tell us anything, it's that people respond more strongly to things that they hate than to things that they like. So we can't not do an episode about things we hate.
Okay, so if there's some AI out there trying to figure out what it is we like and put it in front of us so that we'll buy it, can that AI figure out what we don't like?
Yes, absolutely. There is a whole documentary a mathematician did talking about how the YouTube algorithm makes people more radical. Doesn't matter if you're left or right. The algorithm will make you more left or more right.
Okay, I get it. They can figure out what political ideology you are and know what ones you don't like. But I mean, I'm just talking about, like, can it figure out what kind of food I don't like or what kind of entertainment videos I prefer not to watch?
I would imagine so. If for no other reason, then it's just the set of things not included in the stuff that you like.
Huh. That seems like it would be a big thing, though. It's like that that comic where the guy takes, where I think it's Goofy in a Mickey Mouse cartoon, and he slices a piece of chocolate cake and then he puts his hands around the outside and lifts it up so that all that's left is the one piece he sliced.
Yes. I mean, that's how you serve cake to me, at least.
All right. Well, I think we can kind of alternate here. Do you want to go first with something you don't like?
I do, because this drives me so insane that it is the top of my list and has been for these 3 months. And that, Ben, is Apple. And I'm not talking about apples like the apples you eat, like my kids thought. Like, why do you hate apples? I hate apples. Apples, stop being so crunchy and delicious. No. Apple, the technology company, drives me nuts.
Okay. Now, I kind of have a knee-jerk opposite reaction to this, and that's because I was around in Apple's infancy, where it was the plucky upstart, not the 800-pound gorilla. And I still remember it like that.
That's nostalgia. You need to get over the plucky
We've
upstart.
talked about this. It's it's one of our biases or logical fallacies, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Anyway, I have 3 key points that what drives me nuts about Apple.
All right, what do you hate about Apple Computer?
Okay, so number one.
And if it's Steve Jobs, I hate to break it to you, Josh.
Oh, no. No. The first one is expensive does not equal luxury. Just because you call yourself a luxury item and then you upcharge for all of your stuff, that doesn't make you a luxury thing. Like, there are comparable gadgets to, like apples to apples comparisons of hardware.
There are things that do that, but I feel like this isn't one of them. Or if it is, it's not to the scale of others, like Gucci or Supreme, where they just put their logo on something and charge like 2,000% markup, and people buy it because it gives them cachet.
Okay, just because there are worse offenders does not mean Apple is not one of them.
Okay. I think, okay, all right. There's something to be gained from this, but go ahead. So that's one you hate, is that you feel like they just charge more because they can, and that people buy it because they think paying more equals luxury.
Yes, people inherently think, even if they don't realize it, that when they're buying something that is more expensive, that they are getting a higher quality product. That is not necessarily true in all cases. And a lot of the time, like I was saying before, if you look at the stuff that Apple's actually selling, there are hardware equivalents on the market for sometimes much cheaper than what they're selling.
All right, next point.
Locked down does not equal simplicity. Like, oh, we make it user-friendly and it's such a great experience to use our stuff. But I can't do anything, Apple. Like, you barely just recently introduced the capacity to move your icons anywhere you wanted on the screen. Like, it took them years to implement that. Stupid, just stupid little
I don't know what you're
like
talking about. You've been able to move the icons on the desktop forever.
Yeah, that's my go-to thing. All right, here's the thing. I don't have Apple products.
Oh.
But this is the ones that I had back in the
iPhone.
I'm talking like back in the day, whenever I had to work on Apple anything, I couldn't change any of this. I do have an iPad. I have a current iPad that we were forced to buy because of hardware compatibility issues with one piece of software that we wanted. And I can't do anything on that stupid thing. And it's not that I can't find the settings. I know where all the settings are. I can get there. It just won't let me do anything with the settings.
Can I offer a counterpoint on this? And
Sure.
I think they've always been there as the alternative to Microsoft. So when I used to do work technical support for Microsoft, Microsoft sits in this place in the industry where their software is meant to go on all comers hardware. Produce drivers, and it's just come as you are, bring your configuration, we'll make it work and get together. And for the most part, it works for them because they serve to the masses. But I remember working with sometimes in the applications, there would just be niggly compatibility issues. And I was a bit envious of Apple, who just tightly controlled their hardware and their software to maintain very rigid compatibility and a good user experience.
But it shuts out everybody else. Like you will, if you want to use my device, then you are going to use it in this way that we have designed it to be used and no other. And that goes against my desire to use my stuff however I feel like it, because I own this stuff.
Okay. What's your third point?
The last one is incompatibility does not equal a good ecosystem. Everybody always talks about how, all of my Apple products all talk together and they work together just great. That's wonderful, but nothing else talks to any of your Apple products. Like, they all talk to each other and nothing else. You get Android, open source, all kinds of nonsense, and they all are intercompatibility. Like, that has been a thing in the industry for a long time.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with you on this one. It's smoke and mirrors, making you feel like everything talks together when all it is selling you. It's the old what was the maxim with the Ford Motor Company when they first started producing Model T? You can have any color you like,
as long as it's black.
Yes.
Yeah, our products are compatible with all of these other products as long as they're all Apple products.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
This is why I try not to have any Apple enter my home, because I know that ecosystem is a virus. It makes it so much easier to get the next one. It's like, if we have the iPad, we get the iPhone, then the files sync no problem. And then, we might as well get the computer too. And the next thing you know, I'm an Apple fanboy, losing my iPods every third day and having to charge hundreds of dollars for AirTags to keep track of crap that I keep losing. That's Apple.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all of our No, my house has decidedly remained unhomogenized. Like we have 2 Windows desktops and 2 Apple laptops. We've got 60-40 on phones. So we're all over the place.
That's interesting. How do you transfer files between those ecosystems?
I think I like that you use the language of a legacy process. Transfer files. Now it's how do you share memories?
Share memories. Is that really the thing?
Yeah, well, because it really describes what you're trying to do. I'm not trying to transfer a file. I'm trying to share a memory. Like if I say, hey, I'm listening to my podcast. Do you want to listen to my podcast too? Like we're sharing a memory. I'm not like, would you like this MP3?
All right, I'm gonna ignore your touchy-feely nonsense that you just spewed at me, and I'm just gonna abstract that whole conversation as everything lives in the cloud these days anyway.
Yes, that's what it is. It's in the cloud. I mean, occasionally we'll share a file, but Apple makes that easier if you're going from one Apple device to another. It's
shocking!
Yeah.
You just share between Apple products, no problem.
Yeah. But if for instance, all of my wife and I's phones, whenever we take photos, it syncs up to our library in the cloud owned by Google, and then all of our family can see it, and we all just have this common photo album. So if I say, hey, did you see that new photo? They know where to go to look, and we all look at the same cloud repository.
Can I get one last dig in at Apple?
Sure.
I hate that their consumers are so rabid and so frothing at the mouth for every new thing that they come out with. I feel like every time a new iPhone drops, they do a big, giant presentation. It's like, introducing iPhone N+1. It has slightly less beveled corners. 2 gigabytes
the iPhone
more
13
memory.
has slightly more beveled corners.
Slightly more beveled corners, a slightly upgraded camera, and slightly upgraded processor for $2,000, and people cannot buy them fast enough.
So there's a problem here, whereas we're further refining this device. It went from being smaller to getting bigger and bigger, and then getting smaller again, and it feels like we're zeroing in on the ideal form of a device.
Don't talk to me about the ideal form. I'm going to go. The next phone I buy is going to be that one that's the size of a tablet that folds in half. That's the one I want.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at some point we'll just have cybernetics, or it'll be a projection into the air or something like that. But until then, it feels like we're zeroing in on a rectangle of a particular size that ideally fits in your pocket comfortably, in your hand comfortably, is comfortable to watch at about an arm's length from your face. That has sufficient battery life to last a day. It's all these specifications that we put around it, and it's really just very focused, coming down to a very particular dimension.
That's I appreciate all the things that you said, except for the physical dimensions of the device. And I'll tell you why. I said this today to one of my coworkers. I hate living in a world built by people who are all 5'8". And so, like, when you're talking about how we zeroing in on this ideal size of a phone, my hand is way bigger than the average hand. My pockets are way bigger than the average pocket. I want a device that's much bigger than the average device.
I'm sure there are people out there that whenever they see like a hat or a pair of socks that says one size fits all, they just scowl and go, ugh.
That's me. I can't wear hats. My head is already too enormous. It just draws more attention to it.
Yeah. Okay. Can I give one?
Please, go for it.
Okay. So it's taken me a long time to come to terms with this, but I really have a hard time with people that whine about things that they cannot change.
Ooh, that's the number one source of stress in all of the world.
How so?
Like, people worrying or concerning themselves or thinking about wasting processing power on crap that they have no agency over.
Yeah, Alcoholics Anonymous has a serenity prayer, right? Are you familiar with it? Dear Lord, please bless me to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things I can change, and the wisdom to know the difference.
So yes, there you go. Exactly.
It's something like that, but that's what it is. Basically, don't burn any stomach acid on the stuff that you can't change. So I realized this when I was starting to have friction with my wife, because one of the ways that she vents when she's frustrated about something is she whines about it. Not in a real caustic kind of way, but just in a way that's conspicuous to me because I don't do it. And I had a flashback to my childhood, and every time I would whine about something, and my father had one of two phrases he would say. He would chant them to the point of where they stand out in my mind. One was extracted from the movie Bambi, and it was, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. I think Thumper said it to Bambi or something like that. And the other one is, be positive or be still. My dad used to say that over and over and over and over and over again. Anytime I would whine about something. And it was an impoverished family's way of coping with their circumstances. Like if I was like, why can't I, go to the movies like my friends? My dad would say, he wouldn't address the fact that we didn't have any money. He would say, be positive or be still. But it's given me this lifelong intolerance for people that whine about things they can't change.
Ben, that's all we do on this podcast.
Whine about things we can't change?
Yeah.
We should change that.
I'm always whining at you about stuff that we can't change, and you tolerate me pretty well.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a quality to it. It's like maybe I can only take so much of it, and you just don't exceed my threshold. You'll have to let me know if you think you're doing it, and I'll tell you if you're triggering me or not, and I'm just being patient with you since we're being recorded. All right, so what's your next one?
Well, I'm still on this as a concept.
All right, go ahead.
As an interesting concept of, like, don't whine. Like, stop whining. I don't know. I feel like sometimes, especially about things that we can't change, like if they're really bothering you, then the only thing that you can do to relieve this pressure or this stress that's in your mind is to talk it out, is to express these feelings and get them out into the universe, and so they aren't eating away at your insides.
I get that there could be people like my parents out there with this depression era mindset of never expressing out loud something you're frustrated with because you can't change it anyway, and just boiling rage inside of them all the time because they never externalize it. But I don't know. That was just what we were taught. Don't whine about stuff you can't change.
This is a clear indication that you're a Gen Xer right there. It's like, just be quiet. You just do your thing. Wait, are you Gen X or Gen Z?
X.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a millennial. I'm supposed to be expressing all of my feelings all the time. And then I am dissatisfied with a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah, it creates a little bit of friction because my wife is also a Gen Xer, but her parents are a little bit older and they just had a different ethic in their family. It was their love language, it was their style of communication, it was their background, and it just led to two different ethics. So it creates a little bit of friction sometimes. I just have to remind myself this is how she copes with it. Because I when I remind myself of that, then I see the pattern happening. She's going to whine about it for 2 minutes and then she's going to do it. And if she doesn't whine about it for 2 minutes, then she isn't ready. So that's part of doing it.
Well, as long as you can recognize the pattern, that's the important thing.
Right.
All right. All right. All right. I'm ready to move on now. Is that okay?
Okay, yeah.
All right. My next one. This one kind of gripes me, and I'm starting to. I realized what it was a while back, and now I'm starting to implement it with my children. I dislike indirect questions. Questions that are loaded or questions that are leading. Like questions where you're not asking what you actually want to ask. You're like tap dancing around the thing that you actually wanted to ask. Are you going to eat that?
My wife had a, yeah, that's a great one. My wife had a name for this. She calls it an indirect speech act. Oh. It's when you're deliberately trying to obfuscate what you're actually doing, which is telling someone to do something.
My kids did this to me a lot, and this is when I recognize that I don't like it. And they always phrased it in that way that kids phrase it. And it's like, for example, why can't we make pizza for dinner?
Okay, which is saying, Dad, make me a pizza.
And I tell them now, I look at them, I was like, there is no why. That is the incorrect question because there is no why for the situation that you're asking about. Ask the question that you actually want to ask. And they go, can we have pizza for dinner? That's the actual question, and the answer is still no.
Yeah, I like that. I have a son who stands out from my other 5 kids as being very passive-aggressive. And he's good at this. He's so good at it. He's comically good at it that we'll come up with this scenario and we'll ask him to give us a more passive-aggressive way of saying it. He'll say something like, kids whose parents love them, give them pizza for dinner.
Oh, he would not survive in my household.
You grab him by shirt and be like, say what you want.
No, I just lean over and be like, well, that means one of 2 things. Like if you key into this, like open your ears and listen, like normal society, just the way that with the lies that we tell ourselves and the social contracts that we write, these happen all the time. And when I started cluing into it, I realized that our society is like built on these. Hey, what are you doing this weekend? And I immediately get the tingles like, okay, 4 or 5 questions from now, he's going to ask me something to do something that I don't want to do. But I don't want to go down this road. I don't want to waste the 10 minutes of talking about the things in the middle when he doesn't care about those really. He just wants to ask his question at the end of this road. Let's just go there. You want something from me. I have it. Ask me for it.
Yeah, and then I can say no directly.
Yeah, and then I can say no, and we can skip all the foreplay.
Yeah, nice. Judge! This guy's asking me indirect questions.
He's deliberately slowing down this conversation. It could be so much faster.
Can we just skip straight to the no and move on? No offense. That's great. Okay, I have one that's along those lines as well. I really have a problem with the lies in our society that get a free pass for being lies, and we can't call them out and point to them directly and say that's a lie.
Ooh, interesting. Give me an example.
Okay, so for instance, like I'm going to pick one. And I'm not going to say it necessarily applies to my relationship, but like hey, do you want to go get something to eat? Yeah, sure. Where would you like to go? I don't care where we go to eat. It'd be really helpful at this point in the conversation to be able to say, that's a lie. You do care.
What they're actually saying when they're saying, we've talked about this. That's a life hack. What they're actually saying is, I have expended all the energy I want to expend making complex decisions today. Please take this out of my hand. But I agree with you. Like,
but I retain the right to veto any option you come up with.
Yes. It's like, I don't care. Okay, that is a lie because I can name 5 places off the top of my head that I want to eat right now that you will absolutely not let me go to.
Right. Yes. So, but calling it a lie like crosses a line we're not allowed to cross, so you can't call it a lie.
That one specifically I've talked about. The life hack is when they say that, 3 options, all options that you like, and make them pick from one of those.
Okay, I have another that follows along similar lines. It does happen to me in my personal life, and that is, would you please come on? We need to leave right now, or we're going to be late. I'm not going to make us late.
That's the lie. The second one.
Yes.
It's like, I just said, if we don't leave this minute, we are going to be late. The only thing that is preventing us from leaving is you. Ergo, you are making us late.
Right. There's no... Let's not obfuscate the truth here. The fact that you're not walking out the door is the reason we're going to be late. So can I call that a lie? Because you saying that you're not making us late is a lie, because you are. Yeah.
That's deflecting blame. That's not really a lie. That's just externalizing. I don't want to be the bad guy in this situation.
So another one we've talked on the show, and this is still in the things that are lies that we can't call lies. Another one we've talked about in the show is when you have, you know how when a politician gets accused of something and they follow the 3Ds of accusations in Washington? You know the 3Ds, right?
Deny, counter, accuse.
Yeah, those. Deny, to counter, accuse. Yes. So kids know this from birth, I think. Before they learn to talk, they understand this. But I remember I'll be a grown-up and I'll see a reverse situation where something happened that the kid did that now I'm the grown-up and I've discovered it and I have to become an investigator. Now, I'm sure I've told you before that I detest being the parent detective trying to determine the truth of what happened with the kids. You've talked about it with 2, it's easier with 2, but with 6, it's just mind-boggling. And I, for the most part, completely avoid it. I just be like, we're not playing the detective game.
You just line up the usual suspects, throw them in the lineup, and then just start asking them questions one at a time, right?
So here's the lie. Here's the lie that bugs me. When I was a kid and a thing happened, a thing. I tipped over a soda. I lost the keys. Whatever it was, I knew that I did those things.
Right.
So when I ask my kids what happened, and everyone says, I don't know.
Well, they're trying to avoid what they believe is an existential threat.
I know, but here's the tension. I say, that is a lie. And my wife says, you can't call them liars. Maybe they don't remember. Now, I think she's projecting onto them all the times that she forgot things as a kid. But you don't forget something like knocking over a soda. You remember it. It's burned into your kid brain. Well, you don't just be like, maybe that happened. I don't know. It could have been someone else.
I don't know. There is definitely a threshold of things that are burned into your memory for all time.
I get it. There is a below the threshold, but I'm talking about things that, at least from my evaluation, are clearly above the threshold of not possible to not remember.
Okay, I'm with you. So this one I can see would be particularly upsetting for somebody that doesn't want to be an investigator and is constantly having to investigate low-level crimes.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Right,
Can I just call you a liar for telling me you don't know what happened?
Who knocked over the soda? And kids, don't forget, you used to have a 7th sibling, and I made them disappear when they lied to
me. All right. So that's one that bugs me. What's another one for you?
Okay. So this one is, it just pops up in life. All right. You know what? We're talking about things that we don't like. All of mine are like first world issues. I got to put this caveat on there. Like, I realize that my life is pretty good, and the things that I quote-unquote hate are, at worst, minor annoyances.
Sure.
So this one is one of those, and I call it expensive ostentation.
Okay.
When you spend resources to proclaim something to a world that does not care.
Okay, I got cut off tonight by somebody that in like a late model Honda Civic with fancy wheels and those bright underbody lights that light up the road underneath the car at night.
Yeah.
And I just assumed a whole bunch of mean things about the kind of person that drives a car like that.
I was in my office. I work at an accounting firm. We have big, thick brick walls. And from outside, I could hear one of those souped up cars where somebody paid way too much money to make it
deliberately
loud.
Make it louder.
So loud. And like you hear it and he's deliberately like super revving it, like sitting at the light because he's not getting any close. He's not doing the Doppler effect. It's just staying the same tone. So I know he's just sitting there just broom, broom. And I'm like, and I was in my office and I said out loud, "We get it. You're very manly." And then our receptionist right now, who is a gearhead and big into cars, she goes, "That's not what that means." And then we had this big knockout drag out about why people spend money to make their cars so
she was
loud.
being serious. She wasn't just like saying he has small genitals.
No, she was dead serious. Like, this is a thing that people appreciate and like. I'm like, that's great. Make it louder inside your car instead of outside your car.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely to get noticed by other people. Okay, there's this classic scene in Star Trek 4. You probably remember the one. Kirk and Spock have to take the city bus to go down to the aquarium, and they get on, and this guy dressed in full 80s punk gear walks onto the bus carrying a boombox. And he's listening to Billy Idol or something like that, and it's really loud and obnoxious, and you can tell everyone on the bus is annoyed. And Kirk asks him to turn the music down, and the guy flips him off. And then Commander Spock reaches across and gives him the Vulcan neck pinch. Do you remember this scene?
I don't remember this scene at all.
He gives him the Vulcan neck pinch, and the guy passes out, and his head falls onto the boombox, and it shuts it off, and everyone on the bus cheers.
You see stuff like that. People just, why? Like, we get, if you like your music, that's wonderful. If you like the sound of your car, that's great. I don't necessarily like those things. Stop sharing it with me.
Yeah, I feel that same way about loud stereos, but those have kind of gone out of favor.
Yeah, but this expensive ostentation exists everywhere. But
all right, where else?
It's most prevalent in cars. I'm sticking with cars for a second. Ben, I am in a red state. I can't count the number of times I see trucks drive by with giant, like battalion-sized flags proclaiming that the current president is not the current president or some nonsense of the like. Yeah. And it's just, is this, I always ask myself.
I've seen parades of those guys.
Yeah, is this the proper forum for an in-depth political discussion? I feel like you're not like soliciting me for my opinion to engage in a discourse. I feel like you're just proclaiming your allegiance. Like, who cares? Nobody cares what your allegiance is.
Yeah. Do you can include that under the same banner of expensive ostentation?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
He paid, and he put this on the. I've been tempted. I've been tempted multiple times because I see them in parking lots, like they're just sitting there. Like, I want to buy a bunch of big old Biden flags and swap them out, and then just follow them for a while and see if they ever notice.
Maybe not, if they're the right colors.
Here's the other thing: bumper stickers. That's fine if you. I appreciate a good nerd bumper sticker now and then, but there are some that are just so weird, and like the ones that have words are the worst because they're always proclaiming something that doesn't make any sense. For example, I walked by one in a parking lot the other day that threw me so hard. I actually stopped and took a picture of it, and it said,
"You didn't send me the picture."
I didn't send it to you. I will after this for the show notes. And it says, "I do not co-parent with the government."
Okay.
And I sent it to my wife. I'm like, what is this guy even trying to say here? Like, I have no idea.
It's a little too short. What are you trying to say, bumper sticker philosopher?
That's the thing. Like, I feel another thing. This is another product I want to pitch. Patent pending, trademark Bad Magic. I just want to make a big white bumper sticker that's a standard bumper sticker size that just says, "I disagree." And then when I'm in traffic, I can run out and slap it on the back of people's cars.
Nice. I never realized this, but bumper stickers are a uniquely American phenomenon.
Yeah?
I don't know if they're legal, but I've been all over Europe and people do not put bumper stickers on their cars.
Probably because they realize their cars are a large financial investment. They're not going to put a bunch of tacky stickers on them.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we have any Australian listeners? Do they do bumper stickers in Australia?
Do they do bumper stickers in New Zealand? Do we have any African listeners? Do they do bumper stickers in Africa? Like, are we going to keep going with countries we can name?
I didn't see any cars while I was in Afghanistan, so I couldn't really say about there.
The only vehicles I saw that were in operation in Afghanistan were like the big jingle trucks.
Yeah.
And they deck those out with all like the danglies and the bells and just fancy.
But no
nonsense.
Bumper stickers.
But no bumper stickers.
Okay. Any other expensive ostentation you want to call out?
It goes back to what you were mentioning about Gucci and the handbags and things. It's like, oh, look at my amazing purse that has exactly the same functionality as a $5 backpack from Target, but this cost me $5,000 because it has a crooked C stitched onto it.
Yeah, like
nope.
that.
Nobody cares, lady.
All right. My next area of pet peeves I'm going to categorize under teaching. I think we all have something that maybe we know a little bit more about than the next person. Like with my wife, she was an English major. She knows a lot about grammar, so she's a bit of a grammar Nazi. With a self-referential kind of streak, but she gets a special joy out of correcting people's punctuation and grammar. For me, it's relative to the career field of teaching. My education, my formal education as a teacher, my graduate degree as a teacher, my experience as a teacher, I take a lot of pride in recognizing and promoting good instruction.
Hang on a second. You got your undergrad and your master's in teaching?
Yes.
And what do you do for the Air Force?
Cyberspace operations.
Those aren't the same. All right, sorry, continue.
Yeah. They don't care about that. So one that I experience a lot in the military is, like any good government organization, they seem to recognize that the answer to any problem is to document that you've told people not to do it and then punish them when they still do it.
Yeah. You have to tell them first. It's important that they know that this is against the rules.
So our lives are constantly littered with all degrees and levels of formal education. From everything as a casual computer-based test that we have to go on and look at a few PowerPoint slides and take a little quiz to show that we've done it, to traveling to a distant location with an actual teacher and sitting in a classroom ending in a formal evaluation. That whole spectrum. And one thing I've noticed that it's hard for them to find is to respect what's happening on a level of understanding the purpose for the instruction and the value of having the information. And that is, it's real easy to insult the material, the teacher, or the students by being casual about what you're doing. So sometimes people will make jokes about having to take the CBTs, or, hey, I know you're here for your annual sexual assault awareness training. We'll get you out of here as fast as we can. Not, I understand that you're here for your annual sexual assault awareness training. This may be the most important hour of your year.
Yeah, but...
Do you understand the difference between those two statements?
I get it, but the second one is one of those lies that we can't call out as lies. When you have to sit through a dozen one-hour training courses and all of them proclaim to be the number one most important thing that you will hear all year, none of them are.
I was being a bit hyperbolic on purpose, but I can tell you which instructor's class I'd rather be sitting in. Not the guy, I know I'm wasting your time, I'll get you out of here as soon as I can, versus the person that says this is the most important thing you're going to hear.
So here's, all right, that's from a craftsman perspective. From an insider's perspective of an instructor, it's like, oh, I am appreciating the art of instruction that is happening here. I will tell you, as an attendee of those classes, I can also tell you which class I would rather be a part of, and it's probably not the same one you're thinking of.
So other ways that this is exhibited is if good education has well-defined objectives and then learning activities that will impart the information to the learners and then discern if they've received it. And if you don't understand that, if you don't have important objectives to begin with, then why are we even here? Like, let's not waste everyone's time and learn things that we don't need to know. If we got to all agree before we even start this that what we need to know is important, and if we can agree on that in advance, then let's all take it serious, and we'll all be better off. You can tell I care about this very deeply. I've been through it too many times.
And I really don't mean to laugh. What's causing my laughter is not you and not your passion. Like, that is great. Like, we need more people like you, especially in the education system. What I am laughing at is the version of Earth that you live in is not the same version of Earth that I am currently living in.
Okay, can you imagine me when they at the end of the course when they hand out the student feedback forms to the instructor?
And you need a few minutes. Like, hang on,
I need a
I've
few
got
minutes to transcribe my notes.
I've got some college rule here. Let me write out a quick essay.
Yeah. No. Not only that, but I've already written it. I've been writing it all along from the very beginning.
It's like Ben's instructor feedback. It's on a postcard, and he stapled 3 pages to it, and it starts with, "Let's start at the beginning," and it starts listing things.
Okay, so here's the opposite side of this that I battled my whole time, from being a teacher, from being an instructor, from being a student in the class. It is the question that students ask their teacher: is this going to be on the test? Teachers hate that question. Why do you think teachers hate that question?
Because if they say no, then the students obviously aren't going to listen to anything that they say next. And if the teacher says yes, well, then they're just giving the game away.
Yeah. Yes. It also shows an ethic of, I don't really care about this information. I only care about the test.
Well, and that's been ingrained in students in America from the beginning. Like, my kids have to take 3 standardized tests. My son is in the 4th grade. He has to take 3 standardized tests this year that determine whether or not the school gets funding, whether he's met the state criteria for education level, and whether or not he gets to progress to the next grade level. Like,
the very definition of high-stakes testing.
Yeah, all the teachers care about is the standardized tests.
Yes, and in that case, they do care that it's on the test. And they're only teaching you what's on the test and nothing more.
Right, which is...
But I'm talking about true learning.
True.
You're in a classroom, you're discovering, you're investigating, you're synthesizing, you're applying. And if someone asks that question, it throws off the flow of the whole thing. Like, what are we even doing here?
What upstate New York, like, stupid expensive private school are you talking about? Like, that's not learning.
I'm talking about the same task that we undergo on this podcast every 2 weeks. And that is discovering together. You know, we're critical thinking and examining the world around us and evaluating intellectual property and considering situations that happen in our lives in a way that's interesting and applying our knowledge and combining it into something greater than just one person's thoughts.
Is that what we're doing? I show up to drink beer and, like, poke fun at you. Like, man, you make it sound way cooler.
So I guess I want a teacher who wants to teach and a student who wants to learn. And if I get any combination of one of those not being true, it really bugs me. That's my pet peeve.
Okay, so if you are the teacher, then you want students that care. And if you're a student, you want a teacher that cares.
Yes.
Okay, so when you get out of the military and go start a teaching career again, what you need to do is go to a for-profit college or master's program or something where the people have to care by definition. And don't you be teaching no 100 level courses that nobody cares about. You need to be teaching those 500 level where you get like 6 dudes that are super nerds about whatever it is that you're talking about.
I'm looking forward to it.
And it's going to be about teaching, and it's going to be this weird, incestuous, like, snake eating its own tail nonsense of, like, I want students that care about the subject matter of students that care. And just around and around we go.
Yeah. All right. You got any more?
I can sit here and complain about crap I don't like all day. So this next one is, a lot of mine have to deal with people and how people have problems, and I don't like that. Center of the universeism. Can you guess what that is?
Yes. Another way Josh says this is, everyone is the star of their own life.
Yes, everyone is the star of their own life, and that's fine, but while I am the star of my own life, something happened in my past, in my childhood. My parents instilled in me a constant awareness of where I am physically in space to make sure that I am not in anybody's way.
Oh my gosh, me too. And I've told you about this on the podcast. What I say to my kids are, child, you are doing the kind of things that make you bump into strangers. Stop it.
Yes. I can rattle these off. These are little things that where clearly this person thinks that they are the only person that is in existence of any importance in this universe. For example, I was at the grocery store, and the guy in line in front of me in the checkout line, like, he's loading his cart onto the conveyor belt, and he goes, "Oh, I forgot something." And he looks at the cashier, "I'll be right back," and runs off back into the grocery store.
So he held everyone behind him in line in hostage.
I almost started putting his crap back in his cart.
Had she already started scanning it?
Yeah, like they were halfway through the transaction. Like, she can't even ring anybody else out. Like, we are all stuck waiting for this bozo.
Okay, I know this is less specific than a couple of weeks ago on the podcast when we talked about how long you hold the door for someone. But like that would be like if you saw someone, made eye contact, and you were holding the door for them, and they made eye contact back and they said, "Hang on, I forgot something in my car," and they turn around and ran back to their car like they expected you to hold the door until they come back.
Oh, no, it's worse. It's as if you're the guy walking towards the door, make eye contact with the guy holding it open, he goes inside, pulls the door shut, and then holds it shut and looks at you through the glass.
No.
That's fine. We'll agree to disagree on this one. I was at a tax seminar last week, which was the highlight of my week, by the way. So great. Love my tax seminars. And there was one guy that everybody in this
hang on. I need to clean the sarcasm out of the inside of my headphones.
That was
okay. Go ahead.
I mean, you did that, but it was unnecessary. That wasn't sarcasm. I actually had a really good time at the tax seminar.
All right. But you sounded like you were trying to be sarcastic. You love your tax seminars. Okay.
I find tax law very interesting, which is why I've landed in a career field that is good for me.
Okay.
Anywho, We're in a room of people, and the objective is we are learning all of the new legislation from 2021 that we need for the tax season. Okay?
Sure.
I was
right up.
As part of this class, I was given a textbook. It's the size of a textbook with the printed material of all the changes that we have to be aware of for tax season. Okay? And so we're all there with like you're talking about. We're all engaged. We all paid to be there. The instructor clearly cared about the material. It was a great learning opportunity, except for the one guy that thinks,
is this going to be on the test?
No, he didn't. There are no tests. This is all for our benefit.
Okay.
The test is whether or not your clients get audited because you screwed up their tax returns.
All right.
This guy
what did he do?
Well, the instructor would constantly open it up for questions. Are there any questions about this? And like people would pepper him with questions. And one guy took that as his opportunity not to ask questions, but to make political statements.
Oh no. To talk about himself?
Not himself, but to just go on, not himself, just rants. Just like, how does this new legislation square with this crap that the Biden administration is doing because of all of these changes that are completely unconstitutional?
Okay.
And the instructor would let him get like 3 or 4 words in, to the instructor's credit, and then he just wrote over him. Like, this was the best, like, kudos for the instructor for recognizing the center of the universeism. And then he told this guy, let it go. Let it go. And he kept saying his name. Dan, let it go. Dan, just let it go. And he kept talking over him so he couldn't get his political speech out.
Wow. Impressive.
Yeah. It was, yes.
Wow, sounds like you really got your money's worth there.
It was a good tech seminar. I liked it.
Nice.
This last one happened to me the other day. And Ben, I almost committed assault on another human being. And I was
another man of equal size and height?
No, a woman of older age, slightly smaller stature.
What?
I picked up my groceries from the grocery store because when I don't go into the grocery store, that's what I do. I get my groceries brought out to me into my car because I love it. It's great. It's a huge time saver. Recommend it. And I pull out of the spot, and I have to drive past the front of the grocery store to get to the turnout where I can get to the light where I can go home. Okay? And a lady, she comes out of the grocery store, and she comes up on the sidewalk. And this is pretty normal, where she didn't even look up. Like, didn't look both ways to walk into an active traffic way. Fine. You know what? I'll give you that. This is a parking lot. You're still an idiot. You should still be looking for cars because cars can kill you, but whatever. She walks out into the middle of the street, and I'm expecting her to go straight across, yes? But then she looks up and realizes she's a couple lanes over. She goes, oh, and she turns. And I'm expecting her to, 45 degrees? Okay, this is slightly more annoying because now it's going to take her longer to get out of the street. No. She kept turning and started walking in the middle of the street, in front of my car, straight down the road for 3 aisles in the parking lot.
Wait, and you were going towards her or behind her?
I was stuck behind her,
going
the same direction of travel.
Yeah, and I can see you doing the move you do when your hands are on the steering wheel and you turn one over. You're like, what is this? What is she doing? Why?
How
long is she going to do this?
Yeah, one hand, palm up, like pointing at your windshield. Like, what are you doing? What? Why?
Her back is turned so she can't see you, but she has to know you're back. Although, in her defense, you were in an electric car, Josh.
It was nighttime. My lights were on. Like, she's
okay. All right.
But
so
she was in the street. If she didn't,
all she would have to do is just take 2 steps to the side, and you could get by.
Yep.
Okay.
But
all right. I share your outrage. You weren't going to assault her with the vehicle, though, right? You were going to get out and do it.
I was just going to gently nudge her with my car to make her understand that she's in the road and my car weighs more than her. Then
that's one of those acts that there is no amount of sufficient gentleness to decriminalize it.
Well, then I realized that she was like, I don't want to knock her over. So I was like, okay, would it be better then to put my car in park, get out, grab her by both shoulders, and hurl her off the side of the road, screaming at her the whole time?
Wanted to do.
That's what I wanted to do.
But if you'd honked the horn, she would have turned around and flipped you off like you were the one being rude.
Yes, exactly. Oh, that's the worst part, is I knew exactly, like, if I give her even the smallest little friendly beep of my horn, I'm the jerk somehow. Somehow I've broken the social contract.
Yeah, I saw one of these today. It was on YouTube. If I can find it, I'll link it in the show notes. It was a dash cam video from a 4-way stop. Guy comes up to the 4-way stop. He's 2 cars back. There's a car to the right. It's their turn to go. They don't go. The person goes. It's their turn to go again. and they don't go, and then another person goes, and then they try to go, and then it turns into the like both people trying to go and not going thing, and then she ends up in the middle of the intersection and just gives up and stops.
Oh, well, now you're completely making it worse.
So now the guy in the car is, his hand's upside down and he's pointing and he's like, what is going on here? And so he finally gets up and there's just enough room behind her that he can go out and around full all the way through the intersection, get past her to go straight across. And he gets to the end and he's like, are you okay? Do you need help? And she yells something like, F you, buddy. Like, well, how is this my fault?
Right, because like my inclination to that was to like walk up to her driver's side window and like get down on my on a knee like I do for little children and be like, sweetie, is this situation just a little too much for you?
Yeah, that was kind of the way he asked it. He wasn't being nice.
I would be super sarcastically nice. Like, I don't know. I feel like four-way intersections are covered pretty solidly in any driver's ed that I've ever seen.
Okay. This is a topic I want to delve into in depth at some time on the podcast. But I believe in order for a functional human being, and I think this is what's missing in someone with like Asperger's or autism or something like that, in order you to empathize with another human being, you have to tell yourself an imaginary story about them.
Okay.
Most of the time, you try to make it accurate. Like, you try to you go to the middle of the bell curve and you try to imagine the most likely scenario, the most likely person. Like, this is a person that was capable of passing the driver's test and has a late model automobile and is on a public road, and in the middle of the day they don't appear to be drunk. What could possibly be wrong here? Why is this happening?
Those are the wrong questions to be asking.
I know. Okay, but hear me out. Hear me out, Josh.
Okay.
On every single one of those questions, you can slide the slider over to the good assumption category. And you can assume maybe they're having a really bad day. Maybe their medication failed them. Maybe they dropped their eyeglasses. Maybe there's a kid crying in the back seat. Maybe their mother died yesterday, and on and on and on. You can slide the slider all the way over to the good side, and just it's a rational, reasonable, intelligent human being that just made a mistake on a bad day. Or you can slide it all the way to the other side and say they cheated to get through the driving test. They're high on drugs. They hate everyone else in the world. They're just looking for opportunities to make me miserable, and here they are doing their thing.
I have a counterpoint to this.
Sure.
By starting my car and backing out of my driveway, I am signing an unwritten social contract that I will obey traffic laws regardless of the circumstances, because very rarely, if you kill somebody, does the law go, oh, but you were having a rough day. We get it.
I understand that. But if no accident has actually happened yet and you just have a lady that's stranded in an intersection, maybe she needs a kind word instead of a mean one. Maybe that'll help her more.
Maybe she shouldn't have left her house. I am not responsible for that
Josh,
lady.
There's no magic, Judge. You can't just go, Judge, that lady in the intersection shouldn't be there. And he's like, all right, out of your car, I'll park it over here and you can have the keys back in 20 minutes.
I mean, I get that. There's no judge to fix these circumstances, but what I'm saying is those situations shouldn't happen at all, ever, in the first place. And when they do, that is 100% that lady's fault. I didn't do anything to cause her to get stuck in the intersection.
In our lifetime, artificial intelligence technology will reach a point where cars become self-driving. Maybe our children won't ever have to get a driver's license. And if not them, then maybe their children. I heard a comedian this week that told a great thing about this. He's like, all you people out there that are reluctant for the onset of self-driving cars, let me tell you something. All your life you've been going to the grocery store and there's an artificial intelligence that decides when to open the doors to walk through it. You don't even think about it, do you? You walk up to the doors open, you walk through. No problem. Now, let's imagine that instead of a computer controlling those doors, there's two guys, Bob and Dave.
Well, right there. That's it. You don't have to tell the rest of the joke. I mean, I can see where that's going. And yes, that is absolutely correct.
Which would you rather go through?
Oh, Dave's having a rough day. He slammed the door on 4 old women and broke 2 of their hips. Yeah, I can see that being a thing.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. We definitely don't like the center of the universeism. I have a few more, but I think we've gone far enough on these.
Things that we hate / mildly annoying.
Let's finish off with the bonus lightning round.
Lightning round. Okay. These are little ones that, yeah, one shots. You ready?
Yeah.
We'll alternate. Okay.
Okay.
The other day, I Googled the term Jimmy John's because I wanted to order a Jimmy John's sandwich for pickup. The first thing that popped up was order online on Google. And I was like, awesome. I clicked order online, and I was taken to Subway's website.
That's horrible. I hate it. Okay, I hate when people are so insecure about their relationships that they create a joint Facebook account with two people's names on it.
Like, who's actually running this account?
Yeah, exactly. Who am I talking to here?
Huh.
The basic fundamental tenet of this system of communication is that each identity represents a single person.
Okay. I hate litter bugs. Like, really? Seriously? Like, you are presumably an adult? Like, is it
another manifestation of single center of the universeism?
Yeah. Are you put upon to carry that napkin, like, with you until you find a trash can?
Now, in litter bugs' defense, they are pretty scarce nowadays.
Then you just put it in your pocket and deal with it.
I hate when people wear inappropriate footwear for the task. They go outside in shoes that aren't right for the weather and they slip and fall. My kids wear socks to skate around the neighborhood on their scooter. And, just wear the right footwear for the job.
I hate off-brand Legos that are just different enough that they don't fit with the name brand Legos.
I hate when Americans travel overseas and do all the things that give us a bad name in the world.
That's me. That is 100% me. I'm just going to talk louder and slower at people in my broken English and expect them to understand.
Oh my gosh, stop.
All right. Twizzlers, you're not red vines and you're not fooling anyone. I hate you,
I would have
Twizzlers.
said that the exact opposite way. I would say red vines, you're not Twizzlers and you're not fooling anyone.
Oh, I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
I hate when there are things in my house that have been done by not me.
Ooh, that's a harsh sentence for everyone in Ben's house right now.
Yes, not me. You do not live here. Get out and take your water bottles with you.
I hate passive-aggressive notifications on my phone. Yes, Tonal Fitness app. I'm aware that I haven't gotten back to the gym in a week. Please stop notifying me and asking how you can help me be more consistent.
I hate eating food in bed. Those two things should never meet under any circumstances.
All right, tangent. Like, there's a show that we watch, and one of the things they say is like, "Oh, well, you do like I don't know what the circumstance was. It was something along the lines of, "Oh, well, do you like me? Is that acceptable?" And the person's response was, "Well, I wouldn't kick you out of bed for eating crackers."
I would. I don't care who you are. Out of bed. I hate when people fuss on me. Like, if you ask me, like, do you need something? Are you too cold? Do you want a drink? And I say no, stop it.
I hate when something is clearly wrong with you, other people in the world. It can be anybody. And I say, hey, what's the matter? Oh, nothing.
And there's a social media version of that, too. They call it vague booking.
Vague booking.
Oh, I'm just so frustrated right now. ... Yeah, please ask me what's wrong.
How frustrated are you?
I hate when there's an easy task to be done that just requires people to pitch in and people stand around and don't help.
Yeah, center of the universeism again. I hate that when I open the fridge in the morning to pour milk into my cereal and there's not enough milk for a full bowl of cereal, and I question who was the person that put this milk back in the fridge in this state and realize it was me.
I hate the Transportation Security Administration, period.
Just all of it. Everyone that works there, every rule they've ever implemented, all of the uniforms.
I hate it all.
That I can't top it. He's win. Ed wins. That's it. Like he
all right.
wins at hating stuff.
Well, to our listeners, if you're hearing this now, it means you're one of our supporters on Patreon. And can I just say thank you so much? If you've supported us for a year or a month, thank you so much for being one of our loyal listeners who helped make the program happen. We really couldn't do it without you. And if something you've heard today really tugged on your strings and you want to join in on the discussion, we'll have a chat thread on Patreon that you can join in and share your frustrations as well.
And in the meantime, we are recording this in late December, so if you are hearing our voices, happy holidays if they've already happened, or if they haven't, whatever. We hope you have a wonderful holiday.
And try to be a little less bad at magic.